Right, you guys, make sure you like this video and subscribe to Mike's, okay? Make sure. If you don't subscribe to Mike, you're gonna have a fat forehead and a big hairline.
Boom, I'm with the guy Max inside. Subscribe to him, make sure you do still. Best content coming out. You know how it is.
Welcome back to another video, people. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. And today is the day. The video I've been hyping for 2 weeks. Not hyping, but I've been trying to prepare for 2 weeks. Is finally here. Welcome to the Rico case. Make sure you're smashing the likes. And make sure you're subscribing if you're new. We're trying to reach 1K before the end of the season. We're literally like 1 subscriber away from 900 or some shit. So, yeah. Listen, let's get to 900 and then get to 1K. Last push before the end of the season. Yeah, today's the day, man. Today's the day. I'm excited. I finally get to cook this guy on a video. And listen, people, if you don't know, West Ham United don't really have many of them like toxic YouTubers necessarily. Like many of them YouTubers that you would get in like an Arsenal fan base or a Chelsea fan base or a Man United fan base, etc. But what West Ham United do have is toxic websites, like websites that just peddle out nonsense, so-called self-proclaimed journalists and idiots on Twitter. And today we're talking about an idiot on Twitter. I wanted to preface this by saying that opinions on Twitter don't matter, people, but here's the problem. A lot of these people have a following and have an influence for whatever reason. Once you have a following online, you have an influence on what the fan base is thinking. Unfortunately, when this guy tweets, people send his tweets to me. People send his tweets to me because he'll put some news aggregate nonsense, even though, like, bro, I don't pay attention to any of this stuff. Unless it comes from ex-West Ham employee, I don't care about none of this stuff. But it's not for, you know, trying to be a source of West Ham or anything, even though he does try to be a source of West Ham and people repost stuff when it involves their club as like he's the source of West Ham or whatever. But it's also of why this guy shouldn't have a platform in the first place. And this type of stuff that he peddles out is the type of shit that this fan base laps up online. And he just contributes to the lack of brain cells online. But let's get into it in full, people. Now, the first thing I'm going to share is what the guy looks like. West Ham Central is the person we are cooking. This is what he looks like. And I'm not going to cook his appearance because, listen, I don't look good either. But the point is that these people on Twitter hide their face. They hide their face. But this guy decided to post it when we won the Conference League. Wearing a half and half scarf. I don't know whether he was watching this at the pub or whatever, but this is what the guy looks like. He swiftly deleted this picture, but we won the Conference League, so I think he felt giddy to post a picture online. And this did not help, because what happens on the internet stays on the internet, and the guy is so shameless that he doesn't really care about his own dignity. But also, it's a case of the fact that this guy was actually arguing with Arsenal fans in this very summer about Declan Rice and stuff. And listen, West Ham Central versus Arsenal fans, both very delusional people. So Arsenal fans just kept posting this picture, so this picture will never leave. But this is the person behind, you know, the profile picture of an edited train station with something called West Ham Central on it. So just to preface, that's what the guy does look like. Now, this segment needs a little bit of context. Now, this is from nearly 10 years ago. So 2016 to 16-17 season. This is a video from West Ham Fan TV. Post-match pint, West Brom 4, West Ham United 2. Jesus Christ. Conceded 4 to West Brom. But I don't mean to bring them into it, because this isn't about them. But this is kind of the problem with this guy, West Ham Central. So for context of this, there was a rumor of there was a video spread online about West Ham United fans fighting. And that always gets traction, even if it's true or not, because of the whole stigma around West Ham United fans from back in the day, even though in a social media era that hasn't existed. But it still gets spread around like wildfire because people don't care. People just care about stereotypes. They don't care about, you know, the actual truth. So there was rumors about West Ham United fans fighting, and someone posted online that it was West Ham Fan TV and people fighting. Turns out this wasn't true. At the Hawthorns, there was one person fighting and the other bit of commotion, But guess who reposted it? Guess who retweeted that whole thing? Yeah, you guessed it. So for this context, let me play the clip.
That Dom. So all of this fucking bollocks about we're starting fights and we're fighting people and all this is a load of nonsense. For one, that's one thing I want to put out there. For two, there was not it. The way it's been retweeted by big accounts like West Ham Central, West Ham Photos. Was it West Ham Photos? Yeah, West Ham Photos and things like this. Listen, if you want to retweet them things and start the fucking stirring amongst the fans yourselves, you can fuck off as well.
And that kind of says it all about the guy, because he's still doing that. That was 2016. We're in 2025, and this stuff online is still happening. So let's get into the next section. Now, as much as I don't agree with bringing up old tweets in a usual thing when it comes to somebody in a scandal or something to justify, the present and stuff like that as well. But this guy has a platform that is like trying to influence other West Ham fans, and I get it. Everybody has a past on the internet, but this isn't acceptable regardless. And to be honest with you, it's been posted out, but it's only been posted out on Twitter. So maybe me putting out on YouTube will hopefully give it more of a light. I wish I had a bigger platform so this would get more traction. However, let's say this video does do well. Hopefully people can see the light when it comes to this guy. So this guy usually gets in a lot of arguments when it comes to with Arsenal fans, etc. Listen, we all hate Arsenal fans. And of course, Arsenal fans just draw for the personal stuff or draw for the something that doesn't relate to the argument whatsoever. However, in this case, fuck it. This is proof of his racist antics, of his old racist tweets. This is a tweet from his actual account of West Ham _Central. Don't know whether he forgot to switch to the banner account. Woman fan in the second division, absolutely terrible. I'd rather be black than look like her. That's kind of referring to saying like even being black isn't that bad thing compared to a woman. If you want to go for the whole misogynist thing, then cool. I don't know what the context is to that tweet, but it's kind of not the point. This is allegedly what his actual name and face is. And to be fair, with that face in the profile picture, I can't confirm whether that's him or not. So take this one with a pinch of salt. But the reason why I wouldn't be surprised if this was real is because of this. He replied, "My N-word" in 2014 to Jack Sullivan. I don't know whether that was because the Bobby Shmurda song came out and this guy listened to one rap song and he was like, fuck it, let me say the N-word. But again, he's not exactly like doing a good job, if you know. Like he's just hiding in plain sight. Like what is this? Like he's not even hiding his ways. And why would this be fake? Why the fuck 6 quote tweets, 3 likes? Who's liking this? And this Colton Cole taking a selfie, and it's just a black screen. This is the guy that's representing West Ham United online. He actually has one of the biggest West Ham platforms on the internet, and this is the thing that people are influenced by. Listen, everyone has a past on the internet. I fully hear that. Don't get me wrong. I fully hear that. But not this bad. Not everyone that is not black is going around tweeting the N-word or tweeting the P word or tweeting the C word. And when I mean C word, I don't mean C-U-N-T. You know what C word I mean. All these racial slurs online. They're not doing that. You could go on my Twitter. You won't be able to find it. Like, you won't. I had an old Twitter account where you wouldn't be able to find that either. I was 13 with Twitter. You wouldn't be able to find that shit. So I'm not a hypocrite. There's nothing you can find of me saying that shit. There's nothing that you guys can find of yourselves saying that shit. And this guy's a fully grown man. And to be honest, unless you're like lower the age of like 10, I still don't think there's an excuse of you saying the N-word. I would get it if there was like an undertone tweet where it was like a different perspective of life because of your past experiences with certain group of people or whatever. But that's a debate for another day. But also, if you've grown up and you changed, I get that. but this guy still has undertone tweets till this day that refers back to his old ways, which kind of highlights that the old tweets are true and they're real. So let's get into the next section. Just a quick side note, like tweets like these, even from yesterday. Timber's a thug. Why thug? Why Timber? Why is Timber a thug of all people? I don't know. Judging by the old tweets, it seems kind of undertony to me, but nevertheless, let's get into the rage baiting nonsense and why we are here. Now, I know I present myself on the internet as well as a West Ham fan that just talks about his club as well, but at least with me, I am not trying to rage bait my own fan base. I'm not trying to rage bait my own fan base for the sake of clicks and interactions. That's what I'm not doing. That's the problem with Twitter, and that's the problem with this guy especially. Don't get me wrong, he's not the only one, but he's the worst one. If you wanted me to do a whole video on West Ham Twitter, we'd be here for 2-3 hours. I could dissect all the sides of why Twitter discourse is ruining football or ruining talking about football. But we'd be here all day. We'd be here all day, people. Now to start off, first tweet. I don't really like any of these accounts, if I'm being 100% honest with you. But everyone knows the main problem with West Ham United is the owners. This is April 19th, so this was a couple weeks ago. I don't remember what game. It was probably a game we lost, whether it was Liverpool or Bournemouth or something like that. This AI Sean guy, I don't really rate any of these accounts. I have this guy muted as well. The root, of course, of what we're seeing on the pitch, and this guy quote tweeted saying, "No, it really isn't. I'm not their biggest fans, but you can't blame them again when we turn rubbish. Sorry, but no, it's stupid. Not their fault this is happening." Yeah, it's not the guys who hire, the people that actually work at a club. It's not their fault. They've been at a club for 15 years. But apparently it's not their fault. What happened to GSB out in your name, West Ham Central? What happened to that? Why did you take that out? It's because you want interactions? You want to rage bait again? But this is the kind of the gist of what we're having to get into, people. So let's move on. Now on this channel, I never ever bring back the conversation of David Moyes because I don't care. The manager was gone. So let's move on. It's rival fans and this idiot that always brings up previous managers because this guy is doing it for clicks. He's doing it for reactions. And yes, this video ain't necessarily helping. It's doing his job. He's probably wanking in a pit of whatsits to this video right now if he's watching. But at the same time, I have to talk about it. They're talking about Joe Cole shared a detail of a chat with David Moyes last week. This is one of the examples of him and his obsession with David Moyes. Tweets like this. Moyes out, we are sixth, but soon we will be seventh. This is not the West Ham way taking a piss out of West Ham fans from last season. The reason why big accounts and accounts online go for this is because rival fans will see big accounts like this as like the spokesperson for West Ham. And this drives the narrative of what rival fans should think of the West Ham fan base. Meaning I have to deal with delusional people into basically argue with the fact because West Ham are even worse now, we shouldn't have sacked the manager that was driving me mad in the first place. The sacking was fine. As I keep saying, the sacking was fine. But you need to get someone that's better. I didn't want Lopetegui. Bobby got Lopetegui. I gave him a chance. And then we saw what happened. I was out from 5 games in. With Graham Potter, this guy hasn't had a pre-season yet, but if he does carry on the way it does, and he gets his own players and stuff like that, and it carries on, then I'm going to be part of out. I keep the same energy of everything. Meanwhile, on Twitter, logic and common sense doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. I'm sorry, it doesn't. And this is kind of part of the problem, because literally, fans online, this is what discourse has become. And the problem with this is they're like, actually talking about football is just making a statement so you can get likes, retweets, and interactions, and people rage baiting at you because that's what the guy wants. But he doesn't keep the same energy for everyone. So let's get into the next section. The problem is, as well, he doesn't keep the same energy for everyone, as I just said, and that goes for a man called Declan Rice. Now, my opinion on Declan Rice, good luck to him at Arsenal, but I don't want him to do well because he's at Arsenal. I don't like Arsenal. Nothing to do with West Ham. I just don't like Arsenal. Um, but it's just nothing against him. I don't care. Um, but listen, his whole argument is that Moyes won a trophy, Moyes did this, and Moyes did that. But the big reason why West Ham United was there was because of Declan Rice. So here's the problem. Why not keep the same energy? And he'll argue because at Arsenal you go to another London club and it's snaky. Moving from West Ham to Arsenal has never been a snaky move before this social media era that created of Declan Rice moving to another London club. Because this whole notion that moving to another London club is snaky. Okay, cool. Then keep the energy for Issa Diop who moved to Fulham. Keep the same energy for Joe Cole. He moved to Chelsea. Keep the same energy for James Tompkins. He moved to Crystal Palace. Checo Kouyaté moved to Crystal Palace. There's a lot of players that move from West Ham to other London clubs. Keep the energy for Scott Parker. Now, remember the name Scott Parker. I just want you guys to remember the name Scott Parker if you made it to this part of the video. And make sure to smash the likes as well. This part of the video, Scott Parker. Remember the name Scott Parker. Well, he tweeted this. I think this was after, the first leg against Real Madrid. Well, that's Eddie Lovage. Any remaining West Ham fans will have for Rice gone after last night, tapping the Arsenal badge and then saying it's the best moment of his career so far. Should remember his roots. Sneaky. Well, here let's dissect this real quick. Declan Rice is never going to continue to say that winning the Conference League with West Ham United is his best achievement whilst being at Arsenal as he's at Arsenal. Declan Rice's whole principles has always been just respect the club he's employed by. So when he's it's like when he was a West Ham player and he was on England duty and fans of other clubs were trying to get him to sign Chelsea and Manchester United shirts and he dodged them. Why? Because he's a West Ham player. So why would he continue to talk about West Ham in a fantastic light, or just the best he's going to say about West Ham when he's asked about West Ham or his best achievements or whatever is going to be, well, yeah, I've got a lot of love for West Ham. They brought me through here, Mark Noble and all of this. He said it before. He still claps the fans, even though they give him shit because that's what we do. We're trying to put you off on the game day and stuff like that as well. But because this guy has argued with Arsenal fans online, which again, West Ham Central online versus Arsenal fans online, Jesus Christ, that's a conversation I don't want to listen to. But yeah, tapping the Arsenal badge. Why wouldn't he tap the Arsenal badge? He's an Arsenal player, so why wouldn't he tap the badge? Literally every player that are we saying that you should only tap the badge of the club you came through with in their academy? So should Jared Bowen not tap the West Ham badge because he came through Hereford? It's dumb logic. Should Antonio not tap the West Ham badge because he played for Tuna Mitchell back in the day? He didn't even come through an academy. Should Aaron Cresswell not tap the West Ham badge because he came through Tranmere and Ipswich and all of that? I don't understand. I don't understand the logic. Because West Ham and Arsenal, as much as I don't like Arsenal, it's nothing to do with West Ham. I just don't like them. It's not a rivalry. It's not a rivalry. Called a Declan Rice thing, and back in the day where West Ham fans used to chant about Martin Keown. But West Ham Arsenal, there's a small bit of hatred there, but it's not like West Ham Tottenham. It's not like West Ham Mill. It's not like West Ham Chelsea. It's not like even Charlton fans hate West Ham more than Arsenal do. Even Reading, for some reason, Reading fans hate West Ham more than Arsenal do. We're not rivals with Charlton and Reading, but this ain't a rivalry. This ain't a rivalry. What did you want him to do? Arsenal paid the money. Who's on a 1-year contract left, and he left. But obviously, I know that this guy is just doing it for the sake of it. I don't know what he actually thinks in real life. I don't want to meet the guy because I don't want to talk to him. But this is the kind of shit we have to put up with. Now, let's get on to the next section on not keeping the same energy. Basically, the new agenda for these big accounts for when David Moyes left for all the Moyes in lot. And listen, I don't even like saying Moyes in lot because the Moyes out lot are just as bad when it comes to their agendas online. Even though I was a Moyes out person, a lot of these people were supporting Lopetegui because they were Moyes out. And this goes the other way around. A lot of these people were automatically anyone out to do with West Ham now because David Moyes has left. So initially, when Graham Potter came in, it kind of united the fan base from the Moyes in-law and the Moyes outlaw and Lopetegui in-law and the Lopetegui outlaw to all be united in the fact that Graham Potter is just the sort of medium sort of guy, but Obviously, fans on Twitter have turned already. I know some of you guys have turned already, but that's fine. But a lot of these lot have turned just because of their previous opinions. So let me take you through the first tweet of him just saying Potter ball is vile. Tweeted out on April the 19th. He then is peddling out agendas of Potter versus Lopetegui, because BBC Sport or Match of the Day tweeted it out. Go from one contrasting manager to another who doesn't have a pre-season. That doesn't make any sense in itself. There's quite a lot here. I'm going to be honest. He tweets a lot about Graham Potter because he's our manager. But I don't really understand the point. I don't really understand the point of that he's trying to make. He then brought up the win rate of Avram Grant, Lopetegui, and Graham Potter on April the 26th. It's just a travesty on not keeping the same energy. But then he goes from talking about Graham Potter like this to this. Am I going to be able to get this tweet up? Give me a second. Now, this is the second to last section. This is hypocrisy. This is the hypocrisy. This is the second to last section, a very brief section. There's only one tweet that I really want to analyze. I can't play this because of copyright, but Robert Snodgrass tweeted about like Burnley already being promoted and look at the way they gather in numbers to defend. A lot of their players enter the section. In fact, let me just skip towards so you can get. So right now it's a 1v1. Then if you look here, look how many players are back in like 2 seconds. That is amazing. Don't get me wrong, because they obviously want to win the league. It's doing the basics of football, and they're really organised defensively. West Ham Central quote tweeted it and said, "Proper team, maybe we should have waited for Scott Parker." I've had enough of West Ham fans, because I remember when David Moyes, the whole Moyes in, Moyes out thing happened in the 22-23 season, in the first half of it, before he won the Conference League in the first 6 months, and people were debating about sacking David Moyes for Scott Parker, because people were putting pictures of Scott Parker. You know, the man who got Bournemouth he was losing with Bournemouth, and then Gary O'Neill took over and got a tune out of them, got Fulham relegated. And if you look at that Fulham team that got relegated, that team shouldn't have got relegated. That had players like Joaquim Anderson, Tosin Adebayo, Alphonse Areola, Ola Aina, Zambo and Gisa, Adamola Lookman, Alexander Mitrovic, etc. Anthony Robinson was still there. Harrison Reed was there. And now we're getting the same thing again. And this is only because Scott Parker was a West Ham captain. Now, if West Ham Central kept to his own logic, then he wouldn't like Scott Parker because he moved to Tottenham. Now, everyone knows why Scott Parker moved to Tottenham, because of his dad, and his dad was dying, and he was a Tottenham fan. So he moved to Tottenham, and we got relegated. He wanted to keep his place in the England squad. I don't really care about the second reason. I get a sentimental reason about his dad, so cool. I'll let you off. That's the one time I've let someone off, because that actually makes sense. Cool. He wanted to see his son play for Tottenham. Cool. I'm not going to go there. Some things are just deeper than football. The whole England thing, fuck off. But the other reason, cool. Now with this proper team, maybe we should have waited for Scott Parker. Yeah. So if going by his logic of Declan Rice and David Moyes, Scott Parker's never won a trophy. So why do you want Scott Parker? Scott Parker moved to Tottenham. So why do you like Scott Parker? If Declan Rice isn't allowed to move to Arsenal, there you go. That's his thing. That's the hypocrisy that we're putting up with. But the thing is, these people don't care about hypocrisy. They don't care about hypocrisy. What these guys do is just rage bait for interaction. So listen, it's clearly working because I'm making a fucking video about it. But at the same time, it has to be made because I have a platform. But the last section is just my personal interactions with the guy. So that's going to be the last section. First of all, I'm not completely mad at this, but I had to search up his name and my name, as you can see in the search bar, because we've interacted a couple of times briefly. This guy stole my tweet. I got no likes on this tweet. This was when we were linked with Dan Juma, and Dan Juma was linked for 5 minutes. And then I reposted the video of Dan Juma scoring against us in the Betway Cup. I was just like, how ironic this is. This guy will tweet your own tweets just because he has a bigger account and not give credit to you, by the way. My name is there, but my name isn't in the fucking caption or anything. I'm not mad about it, but that's the kind of things these big accounts do. It's every man for themselves online. But those are the sort of the minor things that I don't really care about, to be honest. This is one of the 2 interactions I had with him. He put "Miss you boys" in pre-season, 28th of July. I'm pretty sure this was the first game of pre-season, so I just put nonce. He said, "Fell for the bait so hard," and I said, "A bait that you clearly didn't believe to give up, didn't believe in to keep up." Sorry. The reason why I said that is because he deleted the tweet. So how is it a bait if you deleted the tweet? Clearly, if you didn't care about what other people thought, mate, you would have kept the tweet up. You would have kept the tweet up. And this was right at the start when Lopetegui just joined. So, you want to be an actual fan of the club. You want to get behind the manager just for a little bit, just to give him a little bit of a chance, even if you don't like him, because that's what I did. I don't like Lopetegui, but I gave him a chance. And so what? Cool. Let's see what you're trying to do. Turns out he was a bozo. But that's one of the 2 interactions I had with him. Let's get on to the next one. Now, listen, shout out to Culture Cams, but this is just for context. Lopetegui, West Ham have become 10 times easier to play against without David Moyes and wasn't worth it. And my whole point was, we got battered multiple times under Moyes last season, right? And listen, people say, and you finished 8th. That wasn't the point of the tweet. I said, fantastic achievement. That's definitely worth getting battered 5 or 6-0. And if you continue playing like this, you will eventually lose 5-6-0 and finish bottom half, which they were right about. But that was kind of my point. I wanted Lopetegui out, way before the Tottenham game. This was, for context, by the way, this was when Tottenham beat us 4-1. And I wanted the manager out by then. There was West Ham fans telling me to give him time. Look, it wasn't like I wanted Moyes in or anything. It was just Lopetegui out. And he tried doing this whole ratio thing. And we also finished 9th. I don't know how you didn't get more likes than me. I'm literally a small account, but it is what it is. So he tried doing that as well. Now, this is the last interaction. So this was on the same day, talking about the Tottenham game. And again, nothing against Culture Cams, but the whole point of becoming harder to beat under David Moyes, that wasn't true for the last season or the last 18 months, funny enough. So that's why I quote tweeted it with 4 results. And this guy knows you can only put 4 images in the tweet. So he put 4 games in 4 years. I can name so many more games than that. But the point is, we weren't harder to beat. Obviously, I don't know, but it got 400 likes, which is good for my account. I don't really care about likes unless it's a tweet like that, because I'm trying to prove a point to stop a narrative, but it is what it is. I said, want me to name more? Obviously, this weirdo replied as well. But when I did reply, obviously, for some reason it says 8 people replied. He didn't reply because, listen, if you reply with any form of logic, he doesn't reply. So that is West Ham Central Rico case. If you want a part 2, whether it's on West Ham Central again, I could do more digging. It's gonna have to take a longer time. Or if you want a part 2 on someone different, it could be someone that rage baits in the YouTube scene, Twitter scene, whatever. It doesn't even have to be West Ham. I could do that, but I would have had to personally interact with them. If I have, then I'll make a video on it, because I'm not putting up with rage bait and nonsense, especially when it comes to my club. And I feel like it might benefit if I just do it for my club more, because listen, it's about West Ham United. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed that video. Half an hour basically of the video. So please like this video and please subscribe if you're new. Trying to reach 1K subscribers before the end of the season. And yeah, fuck West Ham Central. Goodbye.